Welcome to another edition of Dead Air Live. Tonight we have a very special guest, Sasha Purpura from Food for Free. Welcome, Sasha.
Thank you, Jojo.
So Sasha, what is Food for Free?
Food for Free is actually a pretty simple concept, and I'll start by saying we've been around over 30 years, so everything I talk about tonight was done by lots of other people. I've been there about 2.5 years. We take this problem that is food waste and we turn it into a solution that is getting healthy, nutritious foods to people. So basically, the core of our business is driving around to different supermarkets and farmers markets, wholesalers, and collecting delicious, fresh, healthy foods that are going to go into the waste stream. And instead, we distribute them to over 100 food pantries and meal programs and youth programs and shelters, and make sure that folks who really struggle to get access to nutritious food can eat that stuff.
So you said waste. Is there a lot of waste with grocery stores?
So waste.
Yes.
Waste it's incredible. I'm not good at quoting my sources, but it's sort of a well agreed upon number that about 40% of the food that gets produced in this country, so that grows, about 40% of that winds up in the waste stream. So if you think about, say you're having a cookout and you go to the farmer's market and you buy a dozen corn and you buy 10 of those big ripe heirloom tomatoes, and you go home, and before you start cooking, you take 4 or 5 of those corns and you throw them in the trash, and you take 4 of those 10 beautiful tomatoes and you throw them in the trash, and then you make that. So that's essentially sort of conceptually what's happening, and it's happening at a whole bunch of different places throughout the food chain. So it starts in the fields. A farmer is trying to make a business or trying to make a living, running a business. And I'll take a small farm, for example, and the numbers may not be exactly right, but say a farmer sends his staff out to pick beans for an hour because he's going to the farmer's market. And he sends them out for an hour and they come back with 100 pounds of beans. The next picking, he may send them out for an hour and they'll come back with 80 pounds. And at some point, because the bushes are producing less, and at some point it doesn't make sense for him to send people out in the field for an hour, but there's a whole bunch of beans left. But from a business standpoint, he can't send people out to pick those beans. So a bunch of food gets plowed back under in the fields to begin with. You've then got organizations trucking food day and night across country to different places, and for a whole variety of reasons, whole 18-wheeler loads of food can be rejected. Maybe it came in late, or maybe the potatoes are the wrong size, or the tomatoes don't look just right. And these things literally, the drivers then have to find a dump spot to get rid of a whole truckload of perfectly edible food. A tremendous amount of waste happens at the supermarket level. So if you think about walking into Whole Foods, for example, you expect to see these big, bountiful shelves, and you don't want to walk in and see one head of lettuce. You just don't. People do not want to buy the last head of lettuce for whatever reason. And so supermarkets are trained to keep their shelves stocked and looking good. And so you're never going to run down. And now in that case, you're talking about fresh produce. So I'm a Whole Foods and you're paying top dollar for this lettuce, and if it's going to go bad in 2 or 3 days, you're going to come back upset, so I better pull that lettuce and get rid of it. And that's essentially what's happening, is they're trying to stock shelves. They are not able to sell you stuff that isn't going to be good for X number of days, but it's still, I'd take it home, I would eat it, it's good stuff. So that's happening at supermarkets everywhere. And then people go home. I go to a farmer's market occasionally, and there's eggplants and tomatoes just came into season, and I just want it all, and I buy a whole bunch, and I go home, and then I go out to dinner, and then I have an event, and then it's a week later and I wasn't able to cook that stuff. Or in some cases, I love my leftovers, but a lot of people make a large meal and don't deal with leftovers, so a lot of leftovers go to the trash. Now take that and bring that up to a sort of scale level, and think about universities that are serving thousands and thousands of students buffet style. So just like at the supermarket, these students paid for their dining passes. They don't want to come up to the buffet and there's one French fry, right? They want to have food no matter what. So no matter how hard a university tries, they're going to wind up with a tremendous amount of food left over after every dining hall service. So it's happening at all levels, but at the end of the day, it's 40% of the food that we produce is going to waste. And at the same time, 1 in 6 Americans are going hungry or having problems accessing the nutrition that they need.
This doesn't make any sense.
Right?
So can't it be controlled, let's say, at the farmer's where it starts, where it grows. Is there any way for the farmers to grow less?
They do try. I mean, there's lots of, and I'm not an expert here, but there are technologies. I mean, there's seed technology. There's different things that help farmers maximize their production. But no matter, and you can have machinery that can pick potentially. Again, I'm no expert here, but I imagine there have been improvements in technology that will do the harvesting, so you can maybe get down to more. But the reality is, no. The reality is, it's always going to. I mean, my husband farms, and I've experienced sort of as these crops grow, as the corn grows, as the tomatoes grow. In the beginning, when things really flush, you get so much, and it's so quick and easy to pick that stuff and harvest it. But as time goes by, these plants produce less, and if a farmer needs to make a living, they can't. I mean, they just can't spend every minute making sure they get every last bean. Now, that said, I just want to do a shout out to another organization called the Boston Area Gleaners that we work closely with.
Can you say that name, the Boston
Area Gleaners?
As in Gleaners?
Yes.
Okay, just like it said.
Absolutely, and they glean. What they do is they work with a large number of farmers throughout this area, and the farmer will call up the Boston Area Gleaners and say, hey, we're done picking the apples or the beans or the corn or the tomatoes. Please bring your volunteers. You know, we've built up a relationship with you. We trust you. The gleaners go out with a group of volunteers and harvest hundreds of pounds of the food that the farmer can't afford to pay their staff to pick.
Oh, I see.
But the farmer doesn't want it to go to waste. So many of our area farmers donate that food through the gleaners, who use volunteers to collect that food. They're not getting paid, so they can spend 4 hours out there and pick every last bean. And then they bring it to us, and we distribute it, and they bring it directly to food pantries. So there are organizations at different levels trying to stop this waste or to capture this potential waste.
How do you know who to allocate the food to? Like I remember you saying earlier, before we even started to air, that there's many different locations.
Oh, yeah.
How do you know who's hungry, who isn't? I mean, you're talking about food right now, and I'm getting hungry.
I know. So we service over 100 organizations, and I think we just hit 11 or maybe it's 12 cities now. We're growing kind of quickly in terms of new places.
Can you name the cities and the 100 organizations?
I can't name the 100 organizations.
Like really quick.
I can tell you about them. The cities are Cambridge, Somerville, Arlington, Medford, Lynn, Peabody, Watertown, Lowell, Boston, Dorchester. There might be, I don't know if I said Malden and Medford, but these surrounding areas. And the organizations, there's different types of emergency food organizations. The very common type are food pantries, and food pantries send folks home with groceries. So there's 12 of them in Cambridge, which is where we're located, and there's several in all these surrounding cities. And these food pantries typically get food from what's called the Greater Boston Food Bank. The Greater Boston Food Bank is an organization that gets a lot of state and federal funding to provide food to those in need. So these food pantries can order food, oftentimes for free, from the food bank, a lot of canned stuff, potatoes, some of your root vegetables. And they set up a food pantry, and people who need food come in and go home with a bag of groceries. Now, these food pantries, due to the nature, they're volunteer run, they don't often have storage, they don't often have transportation. So getting fresh vegetables is a challenge for them, because you need to get them. If you don't have a refrigerator, you need to get them right before you open your pantry. And so a lot of times, if you look throughout the nation, food pantries are often all that canned stuff, and a lot of that stuff that hunger in the United States goes hand in hand with obesity. So it can be really misleading. It's not about a lack of access to calories. It's a lack of access to nutrition and to nutritious calories, because vegetables are expensive, corn chips are not. And when people have a limited budget and they need to feed their family something and fill their children's bellies, they get what they can afford. And that's oftentimes the cheap, unhealthy foods. And oftentimes food pantries, although there's a lot of good canned goods, a lot of them are high in sodium and just not good for folks with diet-related disease, but that's all they can do. So Food for Free comes in, and we go in the morning to Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, and they load us up with fresh produce, among other things.
When you say load you up, give me an example. Give me an example of a truck, a truck that's 12 feet by 8 feet, and that's about maybe 7 feet high. Do you fill up one of those whole trucks from the top to the bottom?
We can in more than one store. I mean, and after a holiday, like the Fresh Pond stores at Cambridge, we can get a huge, I mean, we can get, so we work in banana boxes. A banana box is like this wide and that wide, maybe that high.
Okay.
And we fill those up with food. And I mean, we can pick up 20 to 30 of those from a store.
And who does this work?
So we have 3 vehicles.
Okay.
We have 3 going on 4 drivers and then assistant driver. And these guys and myself sometimes, and my operations director sometimes, but primarily our drivers. I call them drivers, but these guys are the face of Food for Free. They know all of our clients, they know all of our donors.
Wow.
But they go up to Whole Foods in the morning. So a typical day at Food for Free, Adam gets in the smaller of our 2 trucks, and he goes to several of the Whole Foods and several of the Trader Joe's, and essentially doesn't quite fill the truck, but loads the truck up with all of the produce and the canned goods and the meats and the milks and the other things that they've given us.
Daily?
Every day.
Every day?
Every
Like
day.
7 days a week?
7 days a week, we are picking up either through our own staff or through partnership with some students.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and we're not hitting every place every day. I mean, there's still so much food left. I mean, there's still so many stores. There's still so much waste. But yes, we're doing that. So they pick that all up, and then he goes to On the Rise, a shelter right outside Central Square, and it's a shelter for women, and they have a small kitchen, and so they might take some of the sandwiches that Whole Foods gives us. If you've been to Whole Foods, they have packaged sandwiches. You can buy a sandwich for lunch, but they sell them that day, or they give them to us. We give them to On the Rise, and that day they get eaten by some women. We go to several food pantries, and we'll typically drop off the vegetables and a lot of the canned goods in some cases. We'll go to Ruby Rogers, which is right down the street from here, another shelter, and she'll take all kinds of food from us. We go around, just recently we started, I mentioned the waste that happens at dining halls. We just started working with Harvard University.
Oh boy.
To pick up at all 14 of their dining halls. We are now picking up, and they've made an effort to limit their waste, but this is 14 dining halls serving a lot of students. We're picking up between 2,500 and 3,500 pounds of prepared frozen food every week. That's about 3,000 literal meals, 3,000 meals a week of nutritious, they've got some good food, really nutritious stuff that gets frozen the day it's cooked. And we pick it up in these bags, and we bring a bunch to Ruby Rogers, and we bring it to shelters, and we bring it to meal programs, and it gets served to folks.
Is there any money exchanged on either end when your drivers go to, let's say, Harvard University? Someone had to pay for this food.
Well, so
are
it's
they
interesting that you ask. We've never historically, no money has changed hands in that way. We pick up at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's for free. We deliver for free. As we started working with Harvard, this is a whole new undertaking. I mean, if we expand to other universities, it's going to require more trucks and more drivers. The truth is we're providing a service. If we weren't taking it, they'd have to pay to compost it. They can't even throw it out at this point because they'll get fined, because there's now a ban in place in terms of how much food you can throw out. So we are talking with them, and we do intend to talk with other large institutions to charge them a minimal fee, just to help our, it won't cover our costs, but to help make sure that we can build a sustainable business so that all of that, I mean, the Harvard food that I'm talking about, interestingly, October 1st, this new food waste ban was implemented in Massachusetts. And it's the most progressive of its kind, and it says any institution that throws out more than a ton, it's a lot, more than 2,000 pounds of sort of food waste every week will be fined. And so and that's about 1,700 different organizations in the state of Massachusetts. So they've all been trying to figure out, what are we going to do? We can compost it, we can send it to anaerobic digestion, which creates energy. We can feed it to animals, or we can feed it to people when it's edible food, like Harvard's. I mean, it's not just edible food, that's good food. But there's not a lot of ways for them to get it to people. It's a logistical challenge. Food for Free is working to try to solve that problem with partnerships with Greater Boston Food Bank and with Harvard and with several of the agencies we're working with, and we're talking with the city of Cambridge. If we're successful, if you can imagine how many universities there are in this area, how much healthy, nutritious meals are getting, at this point probably put to compost, where there are more folks than most people know that are hungry out there, that really need a meal.
You're really like blowing my mind right now. I can't even tell you. So I'm just thinking I'm saying, why doesn't Harvard make less meals?
They do. I mean, it's interesting. As soon as we started doing this with them, we started over the summer working with their summer dining hall. It was called Annenberg. And the first couple days we picked up 400 pounds. And this is the first time they got that number in their face that said, here's how much food. And none of them want to do that.
This is how much food you're wasting.
Exactly. And money. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to waste the money. They don't want to waste the food. And they very quickly got that down between 100 and 200 pounds. But the reality is they're going to have some because the students don't want to walk up to an empty hot bar. And they are making efforts. And so that's a great outcome of this, that they're actually wasting less now.
Good.
But they're going to have, unless they completely overhaul how they serve food, and different universities and different places are trying different things. But it's universities, it's hospitals, it's hotels that have buffets, there are so many instances. And similarly with supermarkets, if we as consumers didn't expect to see full shelves, if we were fine taking bruised apples or tomatoes that didn't look perfect, there might be less waste. But it's an entire system, and it's complicated too. We should continue to try to limit the waste. And there are things that can be done, should be done, and are being done. But we're a long way before these larger places like supermarkets and universities are able to satisfy their customers that are paying them and not waste any additional food.
And when people purchase, or not purchase, when they get this food for free at these different, you said there's different locations where they can do is any money exchanged?
No, Food for Free only gives food to organizations that let people get meals or food for free. So that's important to us. There are different models that we're not serving, where people will use food that might go to waste but that's still good and create meals and sell them at a discounted price, and I think that's fine, and that serves a different population. The places that we give food to are serving folks that come into a food pantry and get a free bag of groceries, people who come to a soup kitchen or a meal program to get a hot meal at night, shelters that are housing people that aren't paying anything but that need to eat while they're at that shelter, youth programs. So we bring a lot of fruits to the schools because in Cambridge, which is next door and it's a wealthy community, right? In Cambridge alone, 42% of the kids in school, almost half of them qualify for free and reduced lunch. That's
42%?
42% of the kids. That's huge.
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that unbelievable? I just got that number recently. It's an unbelievable number. There's a lot of hunger that you just don't see.
That's mind-boggling.
It's shocking.
So who is supporting all these programs? Is it government subsidized?
No, I think we get one little indirect loan through the government for about $3,000, but most of our money comes from individuals like you. Individuals like you. So most of it is people in the community that care and that say, this is a problem, not for food for free, but for us, right? It's a community problem.
Right.
My neighbors shouldn't be hungry, and I want to play a role in that. A lot of it comes from businesses that feel similarly, that say, I want to be in a community that has food equity.
This is unbelievable.
And then there's grants, and the city of Cambridge supports us, and businesses. So there's a lot of different institutions and organizations that really do, and people that really do believe hunger is a community problem, and and that waste is totally unnecessary, and they do what they can to support us. And as I mentioned, we've been around 30 years, and we have a tremendous base of support, and we hope to keep growing it. But folks care about this stuff, and that's important because we only exist. We only do this because there's enough people out there that equate to dollars that say we care about this. If they weren't saying that, we wouldn't do it because we wouldn't have the resources to do it. But it's people and businesses saying, we want to see this happen.
Right.
I can't contribute the time or the people because I have my own job or I'm running my own business, but let me help make sure it happens, because it's on all of us to make sure that there is equity within the community.
Is there any limit what a person can go and get? You said they can go and get this food for free. How do you control that?
So,
I mean, because someone could say, oh, you know what, I'm hungry tonight. You know, you can get the same people night after night. I mean, how do you control this?
Well, there's a couple of points, and hopefully I'll remember to hit them all. One is food for free is in the middle. We with the exception of one program where we deliver to homebound people who are elderly or disabled and can't get out of the house and live alone. Aside from that, we distribute to agencies that then distribute to people. So it's on them to figure that out. However, there's a couple of points. One is, and I've even thought this with food for free, it's like if people are scamming you because they're hungry, okay, I mean, really, they're taking food. They're taking milk. So I don't think these are independently wealthy people that want a free jug of milk.
Right.
So people, if they need food, they need food.
Right.
The agencies at different levels have to have rules about how often you can come get food, because they're going to run out as well. And a lot of them probably bend those rules a lot, because if you have a family coming in and saying, I ran out of food, my SNAP benefits, which are food stamps, ran out, please can I get some more food? It's going to be hard to say no.
Sure.
But what a lot of folks end up doing is pantry hopping. So you go to one pantry one day and you go to a different food pantry another day or another week. I mean, you probably don't need it one day after the other, but folks have to figure it out. Then they can go to different meal programs. There's no smooth and easy way. People try not to, at least the folks in the organizations that I've spoken with, try not to turn it into some high barrier thing where you're fingerprinting and making sure you only get one meal a month.
Right.
I mean, they're trying to feed people.
Right.
And they're trying to be fair about it, because there are so many people wanting access to the resources. So it's a balancing game.
And how many people are in your organization, Food for Free?
We have a total of 12 staff. A lot of them are part-time, so that makes, I think at this point, and that's been changing fast too, I think we're at about six and a half full-time equivalents. So
Doesn't sound like that's enough
it's
people to
not
pick
a lot
up
of
all the
people.
food.
It's a pretty lean organization, and we're proud of that, but we're really feeling it lately, particularly with Harvard. There is, I've been on the trucks a lot more than I would like to be. I mean, it's fun to be on the trucks, I love it, but there's a lot to do in the office. But we do get by. I mean, it's efficient, and it's lean, and it runs well. There's always room for growth, but we don't want to, we don't want to outgrow ourselves. We want to make sure we are successful at what it is that we're trying to do.
Is there a problem with food going bad during the summertime? Because if we get real hot days and you have these trucks, are they refrigerated trucks?
The big one's refrigerated. The small one, I mean, we move the stuff so quickly.
Right.
So no, it doesn't typically spoil if it's good food. And actually, summertime, we visit, it will be 11 farmers markets this year. So at the end of a farmers market, we pull in, and there's all these farmers who have been working all day. They've got a long drive typically. They've got to pack up their trucks, and they didn't sell a bunch of greens. And they don't have a farmer's market the next day. And if they pack that stuff up, they're going to go home and they're going to either compost it or feed it to the chickens, or they're going to make their neighbors take more and more lettuce. And so they load us up with farm fresh local food with this, and it's amazing. So the amount of produce, fresh produce that we get in the summer is incredible. These farmers give us, and a lot of them, give us what didn't sell. A lot of them bring extra knowing that we're coming and wanting to contribute. And this is the best food. I mean, this is a tomato that was selling at $4 a pound a minute ago, and we're now bringing it the next morning to a food pantry, a really nutritious, delicious tomato, and folks are going to have it at home the next day. It's fantastic.
This sounds like high-end food.
It's high-end food.
It's
and
crazy.
it's food that's going to be wasted, or food that's not going to go to people. And the farmers, just as much as we, feel like this stuff should go to people first.
Okay, I have two questions.
Okay.
How many pounds in a ton, and who's measuring?
A pound so I know. Well, so there's 2,000 pounds in a ton.
Okay.
And in terms of the food waste ban, you mean?
Yeah.
They don't yet have that figured out.
Hello, we're going to fine you. Like who?
Right. Actually, who's probably measuring is the all these places have to pay to get their trash hauled.
Right.
And the reason the state's doing this is because landfills are filling up, and the cost of landfilling stuff has grown exponentially. I don't know if it's exponentially, but a lot. And so I don't know if, sometimes you probably have people picking up your trash and sometimes you're bringing it, but my guess is they'll just start with spot checks. If you're, they do weigh what they're getting from you because you pay by the pound for waste.
Right.
So my guess is they'll figure that out over time, but maybe they do spot checks now. I'm just guessing at this point. Right. They have not yet figured out. I did hear that they haven't yet have a way to sort of track that. But it does. It's still motivating. A lot of organizations. It's waste. It's cost.
Waste not, want not, which is the name of the show.
Exactly.
And we know if you waste something, the law of economy. There's going to be a point in your life where you're going to want something. So it's really good to be economical.
Yeah.
Not cheap, economical.
Economical.
So tell us about Food for Free right within your organization, because there's many things that your organization does.
Okay, so I sort of talked about our core program, Produce Rescue and Delivery.
Right.
And I will say this year, that program will distribute well over 1 million pounds of food.
Wow.
Rescued will be maybe 600,000, 700,000 pounds, but it's a lot.
Oh, you said rescue?
Yes.
What does that mean? When I think of
When the
rescue, I
lettuce
think
is
about...
like, save me! I don't want to go to the landfill.
Oh, it actually says that.
Have you ever listened? Have you ever walked by a dumpster and listened for the lettuce? It does. It shouts that out.
I'm sure if we listen hard enough, there's many things that will speak to us.
Right. So when I say rescued, it's salvage. It's this food that would be going to waste.
Right.
So that's 700,000 pounds of that million. In addition, we do some purchasing. So in winter months, we go to, well, actually all year round, but particularly in the winter months when there's not as much fresh produce, we go to the Chelsea wholesale markets and we purchase food. We have a budget in our own budget to buy some food, and Cambridge refunds us for some of that.
Oh, you have to buy some
We
food.
We choose to.
Well, what kind of food do you buy?
Produce. So in the winter, I might go
Oh,
buy.
I see.
When we're not getting as much when the
Sure.
farmers markets aren't there.
Sure.
So some of that million pounds is purchased, and then some of it comes from the Greater Boston Food Bank. So every week we're ordering food from the food bank, supplementing what we're getting with the food that they have. Because since we're visiting all of these 100 agencies, we may as well bring them the food they have access to. So that's produce rescue and distribution, over 1 million pounds of food. 70%, by the way, last year of that 1 million pounds was fresh produce, and that's amazing.
Do they give you a better deal because you're food for free, or do they treat you like the restaurants?
You know, I don't know.
Well, I would check that out.
A lot of them do donate to us, which is great.
I see.
So we also
Okay.
take donations.
Good.
So that's our main program. We also have a program called the Transportation Partnership, and this was a partnership with the Greater Boston Food Bank. So I mentioned that these agencies have access to food at the food bank. A lot of them don't have vehicles. And there used to be another agency that would do deliveries for the food bank and bring 3,000 or 5,000 pounds of food from the food bank to a food pantry.
Right.
That agency lost funding in 2010.
What was that agency?
It was the Red Cross.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And
Okay.
they had funding for other things.
Sure,
but
sure.
That program stopped. And they asked us to partner with them. We were already visiting 12 food pantries within the Cambridge area. And so we agreed that we would do the transportation for those 12 agencies, because we're already going there. We're already going to the food bank to get stuff for us. Why not pick up their orders with our big truck and then drop them off? So that's our transportation
Guys are
partnership.
fantastic.
It works out well. It's
Yeah.
a win-win. And then we have something called the Field of Greens, which is a lot of fun. So,
Oh, I love that name.
Right.
It's like having a big salad.
It's like having a big salad. It's a field. It's Ari Kurtz, who runs Linden Tree Organic Farm in Lincoln. He used to be on our board, and he wants to give back. He's a farmer. He has beautiful acreage of land, and he runs a large CSA where people come collect food from him every week.
And CSA...
Community-supported agriculture. People buy a share in the farm, and they get all season, once a week, they get to collect.
Like people spend maybe $50 a week, or $35,
Yeah.
or $60, wherever it's from, and whatever's growing local,
the best
they
stuff.
get the best stuff grown from the local farmers.
Yes.
It's great.
So that's what Ari does. But he wanted to do more for us, and so every year he gives us a 1/4 acre of land, just food for free. Here's your plot. Here's all the seeds. He'll plant the seed, help seed them for us. We can use his tractors. We pay nothing but the staff that I have that manages it, and it's pretty much run by volunteers. So I have a farm manager and assistant farm manager. They just work 5 hours a week each. But every week they bring out volunteers, they plant, they weed, they harvest, and all of that food goes to the programs that we serve. So it's a great way. A lot of people want to engage with us, and working out on a farm and really growing that food that's going to go to folks is a great way to do it. So that's a great area that we can always use volunteers in the summer.
And what are you growing?
This year we grew kale, collards. So it's interesting because we've played around with the crops. We used to go for weight because we measure ourselves in weight. But weight isn't necessarily the smartest thing. So beets, we do beets. I have some beets here.
We got the beets.
Exactly. Here you go. So beets, these actually did come from a farmer's market, but oftentimes farmers don't donate beets.
Why?
Because they store. So a farmer can take this beet home.
They store. Oh, they store well.
Exactly.
They don't go bad.
They don't go bad, so the
Yes.
farmer can take them back.
Right.
I don't know why they donated in this case, but we're not complaining. So we'll grow beets, things that
Sure.
aren't easy for us to get at farmers markets. Similarly, carrots. We grow carrots because there is nothing like a farm fresh carrot, and farmers markets don't tend to give up their carrots. Same thing, they
Right.
can store.
Right.
We grow collards, kale, Swiss chard. These are greens that produce all season. They're things that are in high demand.
They're hearty.
And they're hearty.
People, it gives you the best.
Absolutely.
You can put it in your soups, you can put them in your salad, but with the kale, you have to massage the kale to make it soft, because kale is tough.
So it's collards.
Collard greens, yeah, those are good to juice.
But people love them. Oh, and just you saute anything with olive oil or butter and garlic.
And garlic.
Yes, okay.
Oh yeah, you're Italian?
Well, no, but my husband.
Through
and so
marriage.
when we'd sell at the farmer's market for his farm, people would start to point out, that's your recipe for everything. He says, just saute it up with some olive oil and
That's
garlic
right.
and a little salt.
Salt and a little pepper, right,
Exactly.
that's it, right.
So we grow a lot of those greens because a lot of the communities we serve absolutely love. I mean, there's a lot of ethnic communities we serve, and what's funny is, at a farmer's market, we've had a hard time. Kale's now in, but for years, nobody knew what kale is. Nobody would buy kale. Now they won't buy collards.
Kale chips, you see it on the billboard. You
Now
want a
the kale
kale
chips,
drink?
right.
I'm saying, what's up with that?
So now nobody wants collards. But the people that we're serving, and a lot of them, this is what they want. They want to cook. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them come from, a lot of them are immigrants. A lot of them come from families where there's a lot of cooking, and they know what to do with these things. So when we can grow them at the Field of Greens and get them in the hands of the folks that appreciate it, it's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Field of Greens, Transportation Partnership, Produce Rescue and Delivery. Home delivery I mentioned. The city of Cambridge asked us several years ago, sort of pointed out there's a lot of elderly and disabled folks. This is so unfortunate. I mean, there are folks, they live alone. They, for whatever reason, they cannot get out to a food pantry. They may be physically disabled. They may have psychological issues. They may be so old that it's not physically possible. They don't have family living with them. I mean, they really are
alone.
They really are alone.
This is sad.
Yeah, it is. It really is sad. I remember the first day I delivered for home delivery, I thought, oh, this is great. I get to bring these people a box of food. How nice. And you know what? It was nice, and they were grateful, but the challenge is, I mean, they love the company. It's one of the I don't want to say the better part. The food is critically important to them, but our drivers go in, or I'll go in, and we chat with them. I mean,
they need the people.
Absolutely.
People.
Interaction.
Thank you. That's the word I want.
Right.
Yes, because without that, we die.
Right.
We need people interaction. That's what it's all about.
I know. As much as food and people. That's what you need, right?
They need the food, but
Yeah.
the interaction is crucial.
Yeah. So that's a great service, twice a month. So we were doing that for years, once a month, and we had maxed out at 60 people. We had a driver that would come down to do it. He actually lives in Vermont, but he'd come down to run our home delivery program once a month on a Saturday. With volunteers, he'd pack everything up, 60 boxes. That's all we could fit. Then he'd fill the truck, and it would take him all day to deliver it. So we'd stop, and I had a wait list of 12 people, and I'd have these folks call me and say, I mean, these people need food, and I had to say, well, I can't help you right now. You're on a wait list.
Holy cow.
But then, we work with an organization called Boston Organics. Boston Organics is out of Boston.
Well, this sounds like a great place. Boston Organics.
Right?
Go ahead.
And what they do is you can order from them. I think it's a weekly, or I forget how often, a box of organic vegetables delivered to your door. And they source organic vegetables both locally and sort of up and down the East Coast. And so the way their distribution model works is they wind up at the end of every week with a lot of extra organic produce. And the owner, Jeff, wonderful man, had sought us out years ago. He used to try to go drive around and find a place to bring this food. But now we go there twice a week, and we pick up thousands, sometimes of pounds of organic produce to distribute. So I was talking to Jeff's staff one day because he wanted his staff to really understand where does that food go. And I was telling him the home delivery story and about the wait list. And anyway, what he ended up agreeing to do is he said, you know what, Mondays are a slow day for us. How about every Monday, or once a month on a Monday, I send you one of our vans and one of our drivers for free, and we'll help you expand the program.
That's fantastic.
It was incredible. And so we went from 60, we're now at 95 people, thanks to Boston Organics giving us a van and a driver once a month.
Go Boston Organics.
Right?
That's a go Boston Organics.
Seriously. I mean, this is how it happens. This is how it happens. And then this year, thanks to a very generous donation from a single donor last year who wanted to have a really targeted impact, she gave us a significant donation, and so this year we were able to expand home delivery to twice a month.
Can I ask you what's significant?
20,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
Yeah. And that allowed us, I mean, if I gave you a bag of groceries or a big box of groceries, there's no way that's going to last you through the month, because your collards, we can't give you a green that's going to last through the month.
Right, but what is the shelf life in your refrigerator? Okay, we're going to hold this up. This is a
sitting in the lights. Collard greens.
Well, it's,
Still, I'd eat it.
It's still, you know, there's moisture. Is this still like live? Is this still, it's not, once it's cut, it's not alive, right?
I am not a botanist. I don't even know if that's the right word.
Okay.
I hope I didn't just embarrass myself.
Just the smell of the greens. Oh, that's beautiful.
But the point is, those aren't going to last a month. And so when we were distributing food to these folks once a month, they've never had vegetables through the whole month. So thanks to this generous donation, we now go twice a month, so we can make sure they have food all month long. Yeah, and this was another rescue from the farmer's market. And like I said, they're wilted. They've been sitting in some hot lights, but these are nutritious.
These are hardy.
Locally grown, hardy, yeah.
You know what Kermit the Frog says?
What does Kermit the Frog say?
Kermit the Frog sings, "It's not easy being green when it blends it with so many other ordinary things. When it's nicer being red or yellow or something much more important like that." Do you know that song?
You know, if I'm sure I'd heard it, but this is the first time I've listened, and I totally agree. Like if I had
green,
if I had to be a color, it wouldn't be green.
It wouldn't be green?
No, he's saying it's not easy.
Well,
and
no,
I agree.
but it's not easy, but it's fantastic.
It's not that easy.
Well, okay. Okay,
I
but
would
anyway,
want to be yellow.
You want to be yellow?
I would want to be yellow.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that after the show. Okay, but anyway, back to your organization.
Yeah.
You just got a generous contribution, $20,000. You're able to
double the home deliveries,
which is great. You're able to help people out.
Yes.
And for people that are refused, you could say, guess what? We can now help you out.
We were able, thanks to Boston Organics, we were able to clear the wait list and grow it.
That's great.
And then we were able to double it. And then our last program, which we just started, is the prepared food rescue and distribution. So that's what we're working with Harvard University. And that is our most recent program. I mentioned that's the potential to be huge, but there's some challenges in being able to distribute all of this food. It comes in these big frozen bags. It's good food. I just want to be really clear because some people, when they hear waste,
yes, okay, yeah,
you know,
they think about garbage.
They think about garbage. This
but
isn't
waste,
garbage.
Wait, this is.
Have you ever gone to like a potluck or a dinner and been like, "Can I take some of that home?"
All the time.
That's what we're talking about.
It's deadly. It's bad.
So Harvard, by the way, they source a lot of food locally. This is good food. Sometimes when we do the pickups, they'll let us come into the dining hall and have some lunch. I mean, beef stroganoff and these fancy, you know, this fish with some kind of glaze. I mean, this is really.
This is what they're giving away.
This is what they're giving to. So they cook it that morning. The students eat it, and then they have some soup left and some pasta left, and depending on what was popular, they have, you know, a whole bunch of hamburgers left, and they freeze those up for us, and these are in sort of large containers. So we're still working through the logistics of. You can't give this to a food pantry. You can't send a family home with a big bag of hamburgers. It's not. It's been frozen, so.
So what do you do with it?
So we've been working. This is why we're working with Lowell, which is so far away. Lowell comes once a week. It's Lowell Transition Services. They serve about 500 meals a day to homeless and past homeless a day, every day, and that's a huge hit on their budget. They are so grateful. They come and collect 1,600 pounds of the food from us.
This is great.
And they use it all week long to supplement what they're cooking. I mean, if they get, it's great food. It saves them a tremendous amount of money. So we work with places like that. We are working with Albany Street, which is a shelter in Cambridge. They take a lot. Ruby Rogers takes a bit. They're right down the street from here. Salvation Armies often take them. So big meal programs, big shelters. And we're working with the Cambridge Community Center to try and come up with some new programs and ways to actually use that food to also build community and do other things.
You are around a lot of food.
We're around a lot of food. You get really hungry.
How do people find out about you? Do they go to foodforfree.org?
That's what they do.
I mean, if they want to, like someone says, they're listening to this program, they're saying, I'm hungry.
Right.
I need to be on this.
Oh, I want it. Well, if people want to eat food, so there's probably people listening to this program who don't have access to healthy food all month long. There are a lot of people like that. And actually, we're not the best resource for that. The best resource for that is Project Bread, projectbread.org. And that's a statewide anti-hunger organization. A lot of people have heard of the Walk for Hunger.
Right.
So they run that, among other programs. They raise a lot of money that they then redistribute to food programs like ours. Right. They also, so they're really trying to get a better infrastructure for our food system. Right. But their website, they have hotlines so that no matter where you live in the state, they can let you know what are your food resources available. Because there are food pantries everywhere. A lot of people don't realize that you don't have to have proof in a lot of these cases. You don't have to be on the street to qualify for a food pantry. Now they all may vary. I know that our building sits above a food pantry. We share a building. they ask you for an ID so that they can try and make sure you don't come back every day, and then you get the food. They don't question how much money are you making and why do you need this food. I mean, they are welcoming, and they're people that, a lot of the people that work there use the food pantry themselves. I mean, there's a big stigma with people accessing emergency food system, and I understand that, but the folks I work with really try to encourage folks to the extent that they can feel comfortable, take that step.
Are you serving hot meals, or is this just food that you get from the, from like Boston Organic or the supermarkets? None of these, you don't prepare any
Food
hot
for
meals.
Free is a distribution service.
I got it. Okay.
Right. We don't prepare anything. We send the only case where we're giving people food is home delivery.
Okay.
But we give vegetables to folks who prepare hot meals with them.
Great. Great.
I mean, there's meal programs in Somerville. We work with Hearty Meals for All in Somerville that has a once a month community meal that
that's
everybody
great.
is welcome at, both helping to cook and eating, and you don't have to be.
This sounds like a big party. Where is this?
How you build? It's right in Davis Square. I mean,
Who knew?
Build community around food, right? That's what.
Is that what it's called?
No, it's Hearty Meals for All.
Hearty Meals for All. Okay, for all those who are living in Somerville, Hearty Meals for All, and they can go to.
They can go to the website and Google Hearty Meals for All. It's probably heartymealsforall.org. And once a month they get a bunch of food from us. They'll pick it up. They'll meet us at the Davis Square Farmers Market.
Sure.
And they have volunteers help prepare meals, and then everybody sits together and eats meals.
And it's great because it's a place for people, again, to socialize. And to interact.
And to build community.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so there's a lot of those programs. I mean, there are people. I think what Food for Free is doing is wonderful work, but it is truly amazing what a lot of the programs we serve are doing that are really the hands-on face to the folks who need the food. And Food for Free and a lot of these programs we serve, the people that work at these programs, even at Food for Free, are people who have or have had access to the emergency food system. It's not, it's people that get it. They're trying to, they've either experienced it themselves or it's their community and they want to see it be a better place. So it's a wonderful organization to work in. I mean, we see a lot of hard stuff, but what you see as well is people really stepping up in the community and just trying to solve problems.
So are you looking for people to help you to donate their time? Can they come to you? Someone says, you know what, I really want to be part of that organization. I want to give foodforfree.org,
Yes,
correct?
so foodforfree.org, and we have, if it's how can I help, there's a volunteer page.
Oh, sure.
It's a lengthy form, and
Right.
forgive us if it's not the most efficient. We actually do have a lot of people that are interested, and
Right.
we've had to streamline that and sort of have
Sure.
people sign up for what they're interested in, because there are the areas we always need help is Field of Greens, which is almost over this season, but it's here every season. And our home delivery program is 2 weekends a month on different days, so people can sign up for those. We also hold a lot of events.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Such as? Oh, there's
Funny you should ask.
There's one that's coming up.
That's right.
And you call it a fun event.
It's
October fun event?
Party under the harvest moon.
I love that. Who doesn't like to party underneath the
And
harvest
I will tell
moon?
you, it's a big fundraiser. We hold it at MIT Morse Hall on Memorial Drive. It's this Friday, October 24th.
It's this Friday.
It's this Friday,
Okay, you folks listening to this?
This
October
Friday.
24th,
6 p.m.
6 p.m. at
Morse Hall, MIT,
MIT. What's the street?
142 Memorial Drive.
Put that in your GPS
Yes.
or your smartphone. 142 Memorial Drive.
And they can find it on our website. But this party, so this is a
Right.
party.
Yep.
It's a fundraiser, and I've been
Okay.
to some fundraisers, and all fundraisers are great, but sometimes you're sitting at these big tables with people and you're listening to a program all night. This is not that. When I started and I had to go to my first party, and they said, Sasha, this one is so much fun, we'd love it, but they were right. It's like we get incredible donations of food from 20 or plus restaurants in the area. I mean,
Oh, and they cook for you. They cook all these.
we're putting it, well, it's not a sit down, it's a stand up. So this is all food laid out that, finger food and
Oh, I love
little
finger food.
sausages and cheeses and crackers and all sorts of things. I'm not even begin to name soups, all sorts of things. And there's free wine and beer, and then there's this huge silent auction. So, and there's a band later, and people are dancing and partying and drinking and eating and supporting us. And then the silent auction is full of donations of you can get $100 to my husband's farm, Plato's Harvest Organic Farm. You can bid silent auction on this $100 gift certificate, or on 2 deliveries from Boston Organics, or on restaurant gift certificates. All this food-related stuff, as well as vacation homes and other things. So people come and really have a good time while supporting Food for Free. So coming to any of our events, we really encourage that, because not only is there a financial gain for us,
Sure.
but it really does help to build that momentum and build that community, and it really brings like-minded people together. In the spring every year, we started it this past year. We work with Mudflat Pottery Studios in Somerville.
That's right around the corner from where I live.
So
Lynn, you work
that's
with
my
Lynn.
aunt.
Lynn is your aunt?
She's my aunt.
Ask her, do you know JoJo?
I'm going to.
Yeah.
So what she started for us this year is incredible, and we're going to do it annually. It's called Empty Bowls, and it's a national thing, Empty Bowls. If you Google it, they happen everywhere. And the idea is that people make and donate bowls. So in Lynn's case, all of her potters donated this past spring, 500 beautiful bowls.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Okay.
They do great work there.
Beautiful bowls. We then sell tickets, and last year it was $15, $18 at the door. And for $15, you come to the event, you pick a bowl, you then get it filled with soup that we had donated,
Oh, this is great.
and then you take that bowl home to remind you of all the empty bowls that are still out there. And her space is beautiful. I'm sure have you been? It's gorgeous.
Yes, I shot a very quick video when she opened up like the first week.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
So
it is.
beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
And there was just all the Food for Free supporters and the Mudflat supporters and people who would come in off the street. And it was, you bring home this incredible bowl for $15, you get some really great food, but the conversation and the community building was really incredible.
That is great.
So we do that. We're going to start doing that every year. And there's other things. I mean, they're always listed on our website, but we really encourage folks to engage with our community.
Sure, sure.
Spread the word.
Okay. Well, I want to go to that in the spring.
Okay.
Because I want a bowl.
You should come Friday. I'll give you a complimentary ticket.
I have to be. I have to be somewhere else. But thank you. I go to Italy to buy ceramic bowls, and I said, why do I need to buy a bowl in Italy when I can go right to Lynn's studio?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's right there.
They
right?
just had their fundraiser.
I'm just going to fix this.
Okay.
Okay.
They
good.
just had their fundraiser last Friday, and
Okay.
they auctioned off a bunch of pottery, and yeah, it's a beautiful place. So it's this great thing of different nonprofits and different areas coming together to just build community and support these good things.
That's what it's all about. Now tell us about some of the other events, and also, do you get kids from the schools to come in to help you out? Do you have like a program so that they can learn how to give back? Because it sounds like your program is fantastic.
So
for that.
we've brought student groups out to the farm.
Oh,
we
good.
are not a great, because we're mostly on the trucks for groups, but we've directed students. I mean, the food pantries that we work at often need big groups of volunteers. A lot of the organizations that we work with require large groups of volunteers. There's an organization called City Sprouts in Cambridge that works with kids in the schools to grow food at school, and they've come over and donated some of their extra produce that they've grown to really just tie them into that. Other events, so every year, Diedrich's, which is also in Cambridge, it's a furniture store. Every February, Jonathan Henke, who owns the business, feels businesses need to be a part of their community. They need to contribute. And every February, the whole month is dedicated to us, and we get 5% of all of his sales, which has been tens of thousands over the years.
That's incredible.
It's incredible, and he promotes us because he agrees it's not just the cash.
Who is this man again? Let's give him a plug.
His name is Jonathan Henke.
Jonathan Henke.
He runs Diedrich's in Cambridge.
Spell that.
DIDRIKS.
Go to Jonathan Diedrich's in Cambridge.
Just Diedrich's, just Diedrichs.com.
Diedrichs.com.
And he also runs the local Root in Cambridge, and he just opened a new store at in Newton Lower Falls, but I can't remember the name. I'm so sorry.
He's doing good.
Yes.
So he wants to give back.
So this is another business that's, this one isn't an annual, but 1369 Coffee House, which is both in Inman Square and in Central Square. Josh, the owner there, he had a 21st, I think it was a 21st birthday party for the organization. I might have the number wrong. What he did in place of having a thing for him was he had this huge party. Food was free all day. You just made a donation.
Oh, wow.
And then he had a big party.
I love that.
And raffle that night and split all of the funds between us, Food for Free, and On the Rise, which is a shelter up the street from us. So this business said, I need to contribute, and had this whole event around getting money to us and another organization. It was amazing.
This
it was
is
amazing.
lovely.
1369 Coffee House.
Wow, so there's a lot of people that really support Food for Free. But getting back to the students and the kids in school, do you have a program where you could tell kids, you know what, we need kids to go out in the field and pick some crops? I mean, is that?
It's not our strongest point. We have Field of Greens. Every Wednesday, all summer long through October, 8 to 12, we take groups out. And we've we've had groups that where kids with their parents, depending on their age, come out, and it requires transportation and things. But they've loved it, and we teach them about farming, and we teach them about what we do.
That's what I wanted to
But
know.
there
if
there
you
are
teach them about farming.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's things, and I'm spacing on the name right now. The Food Project.
And we only have a few minutes, by the
Okay.
way. So
I just want to shout everybody out. The Food Project is a great thing for kids like that. I mean, there's lots
Okay,
of
good.
places dedicated to that specifically.
you have to teach kids how to grow so
Exactly.
they don't become hungry. Or what's the saying? Give a man
A
a fish and
Or,
you know.
and he eats for a day.
Okay, but if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a
forever.
lifetime. Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Right.
So I mean, that's what it's all about.
So that's happening out there, but we're not. I don't want to. I want to point people to where they should go for something
Right,
like that. Yeah.
right. So we have a couple of minutes left. Well, three minutes. Do you have anything that you want to tell the folks? You want to tell them about this Friday night again?
I want to tell them about this Friday night again, and I also just want to remind folks. I mean, some people watching this know it firsthand, but there are hungry people in your community, and it's not because they're not working, and it's not because they aren't doing their share. Food is expensive, and the healthiest food is the most expensive. And these are neighbors. I mean, these are neighbors, people that I work with.
What can we do?
First, be aware. I mean, you can certainly, if you have resources from a financial standpoint, give those to your local food pantry, to
Right.
Food for Free, to organizations helping them.
Right.
And it's not just money. It's be aware. Start to engage and learn what are the different things out there and how can you contribute. Because money isn't the only way to contribute.
Right.
You know, and there are programs that while Food for Free is getting food to people,
Right.
poverty is an issue. Our food system is a challenge. There are, systemic challenges that people can work to address. There's
Right.
not, find something that inspires you in this area, and, but it all starts with just being aware, because I think some people aren't aware, and some people will have other causes that they're dedicating their time to, and that's fantastic.
Right.
But if you don't know this, you don't know how much you care about it.
Right.
So I think the most important thing, and by the way, the food waste, keep that in mind and encourage. Whether it's your local stores or your universities, if you're a college student, ask them what are they doing with their leftover food.
Even ourselves.
And yourselves.
Personally, people just waste.
I know. And what's the name of the show?
Waste. The name of the show is Waste Not, Want Not. And this Friday night, October 24th, at 142 Memorial Drive, we are going to, there is
Party under the harvest moon.
Under the harvest moon, and it's a way to raise money for food.
And have a good time.
Have a good time,
Eat well.
dance, eat well. Drink, be merry. There's going to be a silent auction. It's a foodforfree.org. This is Sasha Perpera. Purr like a cat. Purpura. So yeah, we still have a minute to talk. So one lasting thought: make it count.
My lasting thought, and this is what I've been talking about, is how incredible it is that you can take this problem that is food waste, and it's actually a solution. How much better does it get than that? We have the solution, and in using it, we're solving another problem.
Right. So we should tell, like, all the universities, just take it down a notch.
Talk about us. Just tell people about us.
Right.
Just
Let's
tell people.
give them something to talk
Exactly.
about. Food for free. Waste not, want not. This is unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you, I love the idea that Boston Organic is giving. Diedrich's is giving. That you have people from Vermont that come down
To work, yeah.
Yeah, that you have families that you could teach them about this agriculture. Project Bread is involved with your organization. Harvard University is getting you involved. I mean, this
Mud
is
Flat Pottery
Oh,
Studio.
you're on that Mud Flat Pottery Studio. Did I miss anyone?
Well, I didn't mention them all, so there's lots out there.
Oh, them all. Okay.
Them all. I didn't mention all of. I mean,
Oh,
obviously,
no,
right?
not
I don't want to
them
leave
all, them
anybody
all.
down.
No, that
lots of
wouldn't be good.
supporters.
So I want to thank you for being here today. So
Thank you,
Sasha,
JoJo. I'm so
Food
glad
for
you made
Free.
time for this.
Let me give you a hug. You're a sweetheart. Okay, this is fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
Thank you, JoJo.
Thank you.